So many movies, no time to watch them all. But Twig wants to see them, so we gave Twig a call. Now they're bringing on their friends, and together they will view these. So sit back and relax. It's Twig's Missing Movies.
Hello and welcome to Twig's Missing Movies, a show dedicated to watching the movies that Twig inexplicably hasn't seen. I'm your host Drayford, and here is our cinematically clueless crow, Corvus Twig.
Hello! It is the end of March. The last weekend of March. They say it comes in like a lion and out like a lamb. And I'm looking outside right now and I'm not getting a lot of lamb vibes.
I'm getting a lot of fuck you, here's the last hurrah winter vibes right now. It's been snowing all day.
I tell you, the Twin Cities has been lucky because there's been 2 big snowstorms that have ripped through Minnesota but missed the Twin Cities metro area.
That's funny, actually, all things considered.
Well, all things considered is an NPR show.
You guys get the Badlands winds. So, like... How?
Are you saying we basically get South Dakota's farts? Because, yeah. Well, I mean, the southern cities like Mankato and Rochester got hit hard. And, people are like, well, I've never heard of those ones. Mankato's a college town, but Rochester's where the Mayo Clinic is. The most famous manufacturer of mayonnaise in the entire country. Or something like that.
They do a lot of mayonnaise research. You guys want to believe it. It's intense stuff. You got egg,
oils,
and acid.
You know what?
I think
one of these days I should try making homemade mayonnaise.
It's really easy. If you've ever made what's the stuff that you put on asparagus?
Garbage, because that's what asparagus is. I don't like asparagus.
You know what? This is now a food review show.
Look. I like my vegetables.
You don't like asparagus?
I like my vegetables. I don't like asparagus. I've tried.
Why?
I don't know. Just something about the flavor of it. I don't like the taste of it.
It's just the flavor.
I don't really like the stringy texture of it. It's just not it's not for me. It's not.
You like string cheese?
Yeah, I like string cheese.
It's just like a vegetable string cheese.
I'm not sure I agree. Look, if somebody is made a nice meal and they serve me asparagus on the side, I will eat it graciously. It's not like I'll be like, oh, this is so disgusting, I can't eat it. I just prefer not to. And it's not like I don't like eating my vegetables. Give me some roasted Brussels sprouts or some good broccoli. Hollandaise. Okay. You said it goes on. You're thinking of hollandaise, and your first thing was asparagus and not eggs Benedict.
You put hollandaise sauce on asparagus.
You put it on eggs
I'll be
Benedict.
honest. I've had more asparagus in my life than I have had eggs Benedict.
You know what? That's probably true for me too. Because if I'm at a restaurant or something, it's like I'm probably not going to order eggs Benedict. I'm probably going to order a different thing.
If I go to a brunch or a diner place, right, I don't get eggs Benedict.
Well, if it's a brunch buffet, I might grab an eggs Benedict if they have it.
If it's a brunch buffet, sure. But if it's like a fancy brunch place and you get to order one dish, I'm not going to get an eggs Benedict. That shit's boring. Give me a fucking crab Benedict. That's actually what I did get once.
Ooh.
I was in New York City on a date.
New York City?
Yeah, it's a weird situation, but we're not getting into that on stream. But we went to a brunch place. And they had crab eggs Benedict with a Old Bay hollandaise sauce.
Okay.
And then I got lemon ricotta pancakes with fresh raspberry preserves.
That sounds amazing.
And, dude, we had a carafe and a half of mimosas. That shit. Oh my god, it was so good. I think about it a lot, actually. In terms of whenever I think brunch, I think about that, and I'm like, I just want that again. Just give me that.
I mean, the best brunch I ever had was a place called the Boiler Room up in Fargo, North Dakota. And why was it the best brunch buffet I ever went to? Because they had Scotch eggs in one of the tins.
Ooh.
All you can eat Scotch eggs, it automatically makes it the best ever.
Oh man, there's a place down in South Carolina called Captain George's. It is the best seafood buffet you could ever have because all of the fish are fresh. None of it is frozen. All the crabs flown in that day, and I mean, like, it's expensive to go. It's like $40 a head.
Yeah, but
oh my god,
worth it.
Oh, it's so worth it. One time they had fresh lobster from Maine. Like, it wasn't the best cooked lobster. It was, it was batch cooked lobster, but it was so tasty. The butter garlic sauce, I dream about it. I have wet dreams about that butter garlic sauce.
Does it turn you into some sort of ravenous being that wants to just only consume, like a werewolf?
Like a werebird?
Yeah, werebird.
Werewolf. Wow. I mean, I can't say I turn into a werebird, but I do know that today's movie has to do with werewolves. We're reviewing the second movie in the Twilight saga, New Moon.
Yay!
As selected by our guest, Kataradesu. Everyone, I'm going to tell you this now. These movies aren't as bad as you think. They're still bad, but they're not as bad as you think or remember.
Well, I mean, the Twilight series is one of those things where it's like, I did see the movie and I did hate it, but like a lot of the hate absolutely does stem from, oh, this is a thing that girls like.
100%.
And,
I mean, that was the generation, right? It was geared towards young adults. Young adults at the time still very much had codified, this is a girl's book. This is a boy's book. And Twilight was one of those books. I mean, I wouldn't go read the books. If you want a milquetoast character, yeah, fine, go read them. But if you want like actual things to happen,
well,
read them.
From my understanding is that Stephenie Meyer, the author of Twilight, essentially wrote Bella to be a character in which anyone reading the book could insert themselves into her. So she specifically did not give her anything like, character traits, because then the girl reading it can be like, she's me.
It's self-insert fanfic, man. And that's not a problem. I have no problem with that. I like consuming self-insert stuff. It's just everything else is god-awful in the book.
Abuse. One of the main criticisms is that it kind of portrays an abusive relationship and has a very unhealthy relationship dynamics. But from what I remember from the first movie, it was shot and directed well, good music.
There was like one or two very awkward scenes where I'm like, this is goofy. This shit's goofy.
For the most part, good acting. Although I think that Kristen Stewart has... I guess she's not a bad actor, but she's just so boring.
I mean, have you seen her in anything else?
A few other things. The other one I think that stands out to me the most would be Adventureland.
Yeah. Okay. And still, like,
I know I've seen her in other things.
She's just a boring actor. She doesn't.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Robert Pattinson is goddamn amazing, and I love him.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson had essentially career suicide because of this movie. Movie series. Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't getting any big roles after this. He didn't even get to be anyone like, I don't know, Batman.
He didn't have roles for a good number of years after the Twilight Saga, and only in the recent, I'd say, 5 or 6 years, he started making a comeback. And it's because he did such a good job doing what the directors said to portray Edward Cullen that people thought that's how he was as an actor.
Yeah,
which is obviously not the case. If you've seen him in anything recently, like Twig said, like the Batman movie.
The Lighthouse is my favorite. God, I love The Lighthouse.
It's so good. I want to go see. I think I might go see Mickey 17 this weekend.
I've heard that's good.
About that.
Yeah.
And I've been really craving going to a movie theater because I've been notably at home watching a lot of movies recently. So I'm just like, I want to go see a movie. So I might go see that this weekend.
Well, we're doing a series of. We're doing a series of movies where I saw the first one but hadn't seen the sequels. We did it with Pirates of the Caribbean. We're doing it with this, and we're going to be doing Hunger Games pretty soon too. Yeah. All of those series where I'd seen the first one, but not the sequels. However, my last movie-going experience is one where I've now seen parts 2 and parts 3, but I never saw part 1. Part 2 being one of the greatest movies of all time. Part 3 being fine. I am, of course, talking about Paddington. And when we saw Paddington 3 in theaters last week, we were the only 2 people in the entire theater. We had a private showing. It was kind of great.
That's amazing. I'm jealous. I'm
And,
jealous.
you know, not a great movie, but I thought Paddington 3 was fun and charming. I think it's worth seeing. But anyway, we're talking about Twilight. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who directed and who's in it and when it came out and all that other bullshit that you always do.
Directed by bullshit. I see. Noted. I'll write that down.
I mean,
directed by Chris Weitz, screenplay by Melissa Rosenberg, based on the New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. It was produced by Wick Godfrey and Karen Rosenfeld, in conjunction with Temple Hill Entertainment, Maverick Films, and Sunsweet Entertainment, and distributed by Summit Entertainment. Sorry. It stars most of the same cast from the first movie, which includes Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, Taylor Lautner, Ashley Greene, Rachel Lefevre, Billy Burke, Peter Facinelli, Nikki Reed, Kellen Lutz, Jackson Rathbone, Anna Kendrick, Michael Sheen, Dakota Fanning.
I knew about a third of those names.
Yeah, and that's because this movie killed a lot of people's careers.
Oof.
It really did. As we talked about a little bit with Pattinson, it took a good number of years for some of these people to even return back to movies. Dakota Fanning kind of petering off in I guess what you would call the highlight of her acting career. Before, I don't know what she's up to, but disappearing from the scene for a good while. Blah, 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 blah. It has a runtime of 130 minutes. Came out on November 16th, 2009. Really? 2009?
Yeah.
No. Damn.
Actually, the poster that I'm looking at right now says 11/20/09. So.
Jesus. I'm old. Oh my God, I'm old.
So this is about 1 year, about 10 months into Obama's first term. So thanks, Obama.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Obama. Budget of $50 million, return in a box office of $711 million, which for the time was huge. Still kind of huge today, by the way, for that kind of turnaround on budget.
I mean, all the Twilight movies are still in like the top 20 movies of all time in terms of box office, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't tend to like look at the box office charts. I think it's kind of a bad way to gauge movies.
Oh, great.
Because as you know, that there are lots of good movies out there with really low ratings. Conversely, there are lots of big movies out there with high ratings that are actually dog shit. Let's see. It received some accolades. The Show West Fandango Fan Choice Awards, at the 2010 Empire Awards. Pattinson was nominated for Best Actor, and Anna Kendrick was nominated for Best Newcomer. The film won an award for Best Fantasy Film, while Pattinson won an award for Best Performance. So this is the irony of Robin Pattinson's scenario, is he got a lot of awards for his acting, but ceased to get anything for a good long while afterwards. If it seems like I'm harping on Robin Pattinson's ruined career, it's because I'm angry about it. Like I am about a guy who played in Mummy, Brendan Fraser.
Yeah,
his career also.
I kind of want to see Robert Pattinson and Daniel Radcliffe do a movie together, where the two just because like they're the two people that just like, hey, when we were younger, we made movies that made shitloads of money, and now we can just do what we want.
It won awards from the MTV Movie Award, Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards. Yet again, another movie that should probably not have been in the Kids' Choice Awards. 2010 Teen Choice Awards, and then lost the Saturn Award to Drag Me to Hell. It is, I mean, it's a pretty well-known movie series. I mean, you say Twilight, and half this audience will be like, "Oh my god, I love Twilight," and the other half will be, "Ugh, Twilight," and you can pretty much guess who's going to be saying what. It's a movie. I can turn off my brain long enough to enjoy it.
Hey, vampires versus werewolves seems like something I should be into.
I'd rather Pirates vs. Zombies any day of the week, man. And I still do not have a Pirates vs. Zombies movie. I'm sorry. It's just, the closest we get is Curse of the Black Pearl, and I wouldn't even consider them real zombies, because it's a curse, and they lift it.
Yeah.
They come back.
I think that's one of the big failings of a lot of the horror genre, is that I want to see more, like, monster movies and zombie movies that take place, like, in the past. Like, the Wild West and, like, being in pirate times, that would be such a great setting for that kind of stuff.
I mean, you kind of have that with Red Dead Redemption.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It's like Red Dead Undead Nightmare. That would make such a good movie. Like a zombie flick that takes place in the Wild West. Please.
We're diverging too far from the topic at hand, but there's a plethora of options for horror out there, and it's very annoying not seeing it get more heyday, right? There's Shudder, which is a horror streaming service, and you get a lot of cool, funky things on Shudder. I borrow a friend's password and I watch a movie on it now and then. A lot of fantastic stuff there, but you're not seeing anything that's not already been done before, or is not relying on heavy CGI.
Look, I have a screenplay that I want to write, but it needs specific actors. It's a movie, takes place in the Southwest in the late 1800s, and it's about two ranch hands who have to deal with a monster that's been killing the cows and the other
this is a Brokeback Mountain setup. I'm going to
no. It's going to have mostly a cast of people of color to be historically accurate, but the main two characters would be played by Michael Pena and Michael Mando. And it would be a horror comedy, and the ranch owner would, of course, have to be played by Walton Goggins.
Of course.
Or actually, no, Walton Goggins would be like the lead ranch hand who's like in charge of the ranch. The owner of the ranch would be played by Bob Odenkirk. And it's like a monster movie, and you've got like, it's kind of almost like a buddy comedy type thing where like Michael Mando's the more serious one and Michael Pena's the more goofy one, but they're like cowboys having to deal with this horrific monster, and it's like, that's my idea for the movie. But you have to have the right cast.
I'm running to Hollywood with that right now.
Anyway,
so Twig, why haven't you seen this movie? What do you know about this movie? Why haven't you seen it?
Well, because the first movie I hated. I hated it so much, and I did not enjoy watching it, and I had absolutely zero desire to see any more of these movies. It's not for me. Didn't like it. I've heard all the criticisms of it. It's pretty fucking obvious why I haven't seen this movie. I have zero interest in seeing this movie or any of them. But might make for an interesting conversation on a podcast. So here we are.
That makes sense. So what do you actually know about New Moon, right? You
very little. I know all I know about the plot of this one is that this is the one where it really starts to involve the character of Jacob the werewolf. That's about it. That's about it.
Okay.
This is the one where the love triangle begins. That's all I know.
That's essentially it. I mean, that's from the perspective of overarching plots. That's the most important one.
Yep. But other than that, no idea what happens.
All right then. Why don't you give us some predictions there, almighty predictor of movies?
Okay. Prediction. I'm gonna say that Bella. No, see, this is why I freaking hate word. Makes it. As soon as I get rid of that prediction word, the whole thing. Okay, Bella and Edward break up at the beginning of the movie because he wants to keep her safe. Like he's just like, I'm too dangerous. The vampire world's too dangerous for you. We have to break up.
Make your vampire world, I think. Of
so like
Underworld.
The heartbroken. So then Jacob swoops in and offers to protect her and like take her in and show her the ways of his people. I think. Yeah. He's just like, hey, that Edward guy's gone. I'm going to say that I know that there is like a rivalry between the werewolves and the vampires. So I'm going to say evil vampire attacks the werewolf clan. So I'm going to say like the bad guy is like, an evil vampire who's just like, I hate the werewolves and I'm going to attack them. And Edward has to intervene in order to save Bella. And then I'm going to say, like, the big climax will be Edward and Jacob fight, Jacob wins. I'm going to say they have a fight, and Jacob wins the fight, but then Bella goes to Edward anyway. Because she loves him more. So it's like, they fight, Jacob wins, and he's like, I am triumphant, and then Bella's like, I don't like that, and then she runs to Edward, and she'll be like, I don't care, I choose you anyway. Kind of that situation. So, there we go, 6 predictions.
Those are solid predictions. Guess all that's left to do now is to watch the movie.
God help us.
God help us all.
All right, well, sorry if you're a fan of this series, but, hey, you know what?
I'm not!
Honestly, at this point, all that can happen is that I like the movie more than I thought I would.
Yep, that's what we learned with 13 Ghosts, right?
That movie was fun. It was fun.
Maybe we can find some fun in this one.
Maybe. All right, we'll be right back.
Right back.
And welcome back to Twigs Missing Movies.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome in. This is our guest today, Kataru Desu, who you may or may not know. Kat, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Kat. I'm a necromancer over here. Yeah, that is me. I'm an artist. I do 3D models. And I write too. I write as well. Yeah, that's me. That's all I do. I really like cats too. I thought I'd add that as well. I thought I'd add that. I really like cats, as you can see. But yeah,
you kind of have like
me.
a undead cat girl thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that we know who you are, we can kill you for making us watch this movie. Everyone, get your steaks ready. I gave them out before the movie.
Well, see, I'm thinking she's a vampire because she's a neck romancer.
Ooh,
bad,
yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Bad. Bad.
Yes.
No fun.
But as Dre just kind of asked, why did you do this to us?
Yeah, what have we done? How have I've known you for the better part of 4 years now. I'd like to know where along in those 4 years I fucked up and how I can apologize because I didn't deserve this.
Well, I know the Twilight series is. I don't know. I want to say chef's kiss, but I can also see its flaws too. But it is good. I enjoy it so much. It is very close to me. I love it. I love the series.
Okay.
Well, I guess my question is, how old were you when you first got into Twilight?
When did the first film come out?
I'm guessing probably 2007 or 8 would be my guess, since this was 2009.
Yeah, no, it'd been 2006, 2007 time frame at least.
2006 is probably as early as it would have come out, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I was at like the early part of high school when that came out, when the first one came out, and then I saw the first film, really loved it, and then I went off and like devoured the books, and yeah, I think I went to see the first film like over 20 times at the cinema. So
20 times.
Okay, Moneybags Johnson over here. Fucking Christ! Did you spend your weekly allowance every fucking week for an entire year?
I went when it was really cheap. It was so cheap back then.
Yeah, $2 matinees or something.
Yeah, it was like super cheap then. Like, I think the local cinema as well. For New Moon actually, they had like with every like new ticket or something, you would be able to get like a key ring or something like that. And I made sure I went to go and see the film, so I got all 3 of them. So they're like floating around in some of my storage boxes somewhere.
All 3 of them plus 17 more.
Yeah.
Good God. I mean, there's a lot of movies that I really liked and seen in theaters multiple times, but I don't think I've ever seen a movie more than 3 times in theaters.
I was
I'm an
obsessed.
outlier here, but I used to work at a movie theater, so take that for what you will.
Well, I mean, that's different.
Paddington 2 like 12 times over the course of its run in the theaters.
But I mean, Paddington 2 is a flawless movie, so, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no part of that movie that I hate watching repeatedly. Also, I think the show that I watched the most, the movies that I watched the most when I was working there was probably Star Wars episode 8. Yeah, it was 8. And I gotta tell you, after watching it 3 times, it doesn't get better. And in fact, it just slowly gets worse because you start noticing all of the other things that are wrong with the movie and how much they just change to fit the bill.
They
cut off the heel to fit into the shoe a lot.
Which I think if they had let Rainn Wilson do all 3 movies and plan them all out ahead of time, it would have worked 100%. A lot better.
I mean, that's true of any movie series, right? Any kind of book series. If you were to change hands halfway through one to a different director with a different vision without a ongoing plot already established, that's like, here's the game plan, you're gonna get really shitty movies back to back.
Yeah, you know? The fact that they didn't, like, I mean, come on, it's Disney. They planned out and created big, several movie long arcs with Marvel, and then they didn't do that with Star Wars. Didn't make sense. I mean, say what you will about Twilight, at least all of the movies follow a consistent, overarching plot line. Because, like, Stephanie had probably planned for the entire story from the beginning before she even wrote the first book. So I have to give her and the movies credit for that. See, here's the thing when it comes to these movies. The cinematography, pretty good. Sound, pretty good. Even the overall storyline and the plot, pretty good. However, the dialogue is some of the worst dialogue I think I've ever heard in my life. Nobody acts or talks like real people.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, yeah.
It's like watching all those I never had a sibling, but here are 2 siblings interacting dialogues for an entire movie.
Teenagers were written clearly, like the dialogue, it's like, this is not how teenagers act. This is not what teenagers would say to each other. It's like, this was like a 50-year-old person writing dialogue for teenagers. Which I know Stephanie wasn't that old,
yeah,
but...
I'm hip. I'm cool. What up, Skibbity Rizzler? It's just in the middle of the movie. That's, like, basically what's happening the entire time, anytime a teen was talking.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta point out a gripe that I have with those movies altogether is that for characters that are, 200 plus years old, a lot of them blend in too well with teenagers. They do. They should have some colloquialisms that they just can't get rid of. That really sets them apart. That you could chalk up to just being quirky,
using like slang from the 1920s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Edward's like 117, right?
Yeah, and he died in the Spanish flu.
In like the books, it is mentioned that he does speak like he's from that like time period, but I in the films he just doesn't. Or at least
he just doesn't talk.
he just doesn't. So it just, like, none of them do. None of them talk from the time period that they originally came from, and I think that's really weird. Like, I can't remember if all of them do in the books or anything, but I know it's definitely mentioned that Edward does in the books. But like the films, I think they just got rid of that entirely. Like, even if they just had like a little bit of like how they say certain things, that would have been great. But they just they're too. I know obviously they've got to blend in with people in like the present, but even then, like I'm pretty sure like some form of like the time period they came from would like peek through just a little bit. Well, maybe.
I think we end up changing our language as we age. I mean, millennials of my age aren't using the word epic anymore.
No. No, they're not, no.
I think your speech patterns do change to fit those around you, so I actually do find it believable that they would not talk like old-timey people. I feel like there should be a couple things that maybe they had a trouble getting rid of, but I think for the most part, people will evolve how they talk based off of the culture in which they live. And I think they do that pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, like, the way that I say Rizzler is definitely imparted to me by the fact that I'm part of meme culture, and it's just something that pervades it, right? But, it's hinted at in the books and in the movies that they're not always in high school. That's just where they're hiding out currently, right?
Yeah.
And you can only hide out in a high school 4 years before it gets really suspicious, right?
Yeah.
So they would sound very out of place.
Yeah.
Right. I don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they came from another high school somewhere else. They had been there for a while.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I'm not entirely. It doesn't really say how long they'd already been there for.
Mm-hmm. So already this book is suspicious and filled with plot holes. But then we go into New Moon, and it's just like, hey, you want a really questionable love triangle sequence?
Yep.
For an entire movie?
I mean, okay, so it was, of course, posed, and Hasio has asked the question: Team Vampire or Team Werewolf? You team Edward or Team Jacob? Well, who are you, Kat?
Oh no, I was asked this when the films first came out, and I couldn't answer it then. I don't think I can answer it now because I love them both. I love them both so much. I love vampires. I love vampire. If I had to choose, like, over like vampire or werewolf, regardless of like the character, I would go vampires, because I don't really interact with like werewolves or anything that much, but like for the characters, I do love like the like all of the characters pretty much. Like, granted, they have their flaws and stuff, but like if I've never been able to pick, even like, you know, years later. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm Team Carlisle. Man can get it.
I'm firmly in Team Werewolf. I like Jacob a lot better than I like Edward, and I think werewolves are cooler. And you
also into the Omegaverse, so that makes sense. This checks out.
I hate you. I am not.
I don't know. You just admitted to everybody on live stream on Twitch.tv. I am Team Werewolf, so gotta be hard to beat these accusations.
Look, all that says about me is that I lean more towards being a furry than I lean more towards being a goth.
Well, that's a mischaracterization of vampires, but sure, yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. I don't know. I've always thought werewolves were cooler. I mean, I suppose both vampires and werewolves are known for having transformation abilities, although not all vampires. There's none of the vampires in this movie are turning into bats. As far as I'm aware.
That's because none of them. No. I don't think that's a power that they have in the books.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that they have in the books.
Well, and that's one of the big criticisms that Twilight gets from people is they're not real vampires. They don't follow the rules of vampires. But the thing is like, there are no consistent rules for vampires. I think the only consistent vampire rule that is true across pretty much all media is that they drink blood. Other than that, like, you think about it, and I think strength, they're considered to be strong and probably immortal. Those are probably the three that are the most consistent, but like the whole, they can't cross over moving water is inconsistent. You know, they are turned away by crucifixes or garlic. You know, those are inconsistent. And, you know, so the whole, they can go out in the sun and they just shimmer and sparkle is like, they have a sensitivity to sunlight, but it doesn't always kill them. But it's just like, and then how does a human turn into a vampire is very inconsistent. There's so many different rules. So it's like Stephanie making up her own set of rules for how vampires work doesn't really bother me because every vampire author does that and you're allowed to. You don't, there's not a, here's the set rules of how vampires work and you have to stay within it. That's not a thing. And I think it's an unfair criticism of these books to say that she gets vampires wrong because everybody writes vampires differently. So I'm giving that a pass. You know.
I'm sorry, but if you do not write vampires to be the demonic hellspawn of Satan, right, where they all become ugly with jagged teeth that point out in every which way direction, and have supernatural abilities to include being able to turn into a bat or turn you into a rat. It's wrong. It's just wrong.
What about into a brat?
You're
Ooh.
always a brat. So.
Okay, they have this scene here, like, at the beginning. Like, I thought that dream sequence at the beginning where she sees and she thinks it's her grandma, and then it turns out to just be the older version of her. Like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of effective. See, that's the thing is like, I didn't hate that much about this movie.
No, it's a decent movie. Like I said in the pre-show, it's a decent movie.
I just think the dialogue and the acting just bring it down so much. And I don't blame the actors because these aren't bad actors. You know, this isn't like a B movie. It's like there's so much of this is competently done. But like, I think it's the writing of the dialogue that drags this movie down far more than anything else. Oh, and Jacob's wig. Good God, that was a terrible wig. Look at that. That is one of the worst. That is one of the worst wigs I've ever seen. And like, I'm usually not the type of person to notice wigs in movies, but even I was just like, oh boy.
That's a wig and a half.
That's
yeah. I think Robert Pattinson was the only one who actually had his natural hair throughout the whole thing, like throughout the whole series. I think all of them did have wigs.
What, you're telling me that the screenshot right here is not a wig?
No, that's obviously his real hair, clearly.
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
listen,
I
had great hair like that.
I had seen like that. What's that guy's name? The like the head of the Italian vampire. Arrow? That's his name?
Yeah.
I didn't realize, because I had seen that meme of him standing over and looking down, like, arrogantly. Yeah. I had seen that meme a million times, and then when I hit it, I'm like, that's from Twilight?
Yeah. You didn't know it was from Twilight?
No! I had no idea what that was from.
No way. What?
Yeah, I did not know that was a Twilight meme, and I saw him like, it's the meme.
Holy shit!
The meme of Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV. That was me seeing that meme.
So wait. So like, where did you think it was from then? Like what? Like, because clearly they're vampires. They look like vampires. Like, where did you think?
Well, in retrospect, yeah, but I hadn't really looked that closely at the characters, and I guess I assumed it was like some sort of like Victorian thing, but like I don't know. There's a lot of Victorian era TV shows and movies that I haven't seen, so look, all I wanted is during one of the early scenes where all the Cullens are in the house for Lestat to show up, and like
or a reference to Interview with the Vampire. That would have been fucking hilarious to just toss in.
Or just have Lestat be one of the vampires in CNN. Lestat should have been one of the vampires in the council at the end or something. Just
in the Voltaren.
That would have been funny.
Yeah, just have him there. Would have been great.
100%. God.
But just like
Grant has great hair. I know I have great hair, but not IRL. IRL, my hair is balding, thinning.
No.
God, what this guy who's on screen right now, it's just like, oh, you only exist to be somebody who has a crush on Bella that has absolutely zero chance and she has zero interest in whatsoever.
They're showing up to let the guys know there's no chance. You have no chance.
Yeah. But I mean, the whole time we also kind of know Jacob has no chance, because there's no way you can watch these movies and think for a second that she's ever going to end up with Jacob. Like...
Oh, yeah.
But boy,
yeah, I feel like he's just there too. Like, obviously he's a main character and everything, but he's there for the purpose of a love triangle. To be honest, like that's how I see Jacob. Like, I think he's a good character, like, and stuff, but he is just there to me.
I think he's a lot cooler than Edward. He's just like, I don't know, like. I would rather, like, just hanging out as bros, I would way rather hang out with Jacob than with Edward. Edward is just broody, boring dumbass. Also, this vampire, the Blackula, I like that guy.
Yeah. Blackula? Cool. Is that what you're gonna call him?
Hey, no. That's...
Don't call him Blackula.
Hey, I didn't make up that term. That's the term for... Actually, we should watch the old 70s movie. There is a movie called Blackula.
Oh,
I know.
no.
It's a funny movie. It's fucking hilarious. But you can't just look at a black vampire and go Blackula.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's the term for a black vampire. It's not my term. I'm just using the proper term. Anyway, I thought that character was kind of cool. He's like, hey, you gotta die, but unlike Victoria, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it quick and painlessly. You won't feel a thing, and then the wolves show up and kill him. That was cool. But yeah, this movie really does expect you to have seen the first one and know who Victoria is. And
you should have been paying attention to the last one. I mean,
yeah, well, I was, but that was also like 15 years ago that I saw the first one. So yeah,
just remember, man. Just remember these characters that barely had any screen time. Jesus Christ, I can talk.
Yeah, Victoria's only in it for maybe 2 minutes in the first film.
At most,
yeah,
2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, because
and in those scenes, she's not even saying much of anything.
No, she's barely in it. And to be fair, in this one, she's barely in it as well.
Yeah.
In New Moon, she's barely in it, but she's constantly. She's in the entire film, but visually, she's just not there.
Does she even have any lines?
Not in New Moon, no.
They're like, okay, we can have you, and you're going to be around to do things, but if you say any lines, we have to pay you more due to SAG rules. So,
to be honest, she doesn't have that many lines in the next film either. She doesn't have a lot.
She doesn't talk a whole bunch.
Yeah, no, she doesn't. But I think that's the point of her character, though. But yeah, no, she doesn't say much at all.
I'm just trying to think of
freaking out.
The characters that I did like in this movie. I liked that guy, the leader of the Voltari. I thought he was fun. I liked Alice too. I liked Alice, and I thought she was acted well. I liked the actress who played her. So
I just love that her counterpart Jasper is just like Michael Cera levels of awkward in the films.
He is.
He just stands there. I'm staring at you.
Now I would have liked this movie better if Michael Cera was one of the vampires.
Oh my god. That would have been fucking hilarious.
Michael Cera's cool. I got nothing against Michael Cera.
No, me neither. Me neither. He does a fantastic job portraying the characters he's given.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him for kind of being typecast.
I mean, so a lot of people get typecast as characters, right?
Yeah. People were recently saying that they were going to make a live-action Legend of Zelda movie and that they should have had Michael Cera play Link. But I'm like, okay, maybe 20 years ago, but he's 45 now. You can't have him playing Link.
He's 45?
No.
What?
No.
How old is Michael Cera?
There's no way that man's 45.
No, he can't be,
okay,
right?
He's 36.
Okay, I was about to fucking say, there's no way. Because he was a kid when I was a kid.
I thought he was older than me for some reason. Oh, yeah, drink some water.
He's like around your age, dude.
He's 4 years younger than me. I thought he was older than me.
No, he's younger than you. Because, you can judge it based on Arrested Development.
That's true. That's true. I do watch Arrested Development. I'm like, child.
That's a child.
Yeah. He looks so young in that show, especially the early seasons. And yeah, I suppose Juno came out when I was in college, so yeah, that makes sense. Juno's a movie I haven't seen. Be interesting to...
Oh, I love Juno when I was younger.
No, I've never seen Juno.
I wasn't allowed to watch it because my parents were very pro-life. Very, very pro-life. And there's
Okay,
there's a lot of things.
But Elliot Page... Is the character's name Juno that Elliot plays?
Yeah.
Juno chooses to have the baby,
I know.
so
trust me. As I've gotten older, the decision to not let me see it because we're a pro-life family is still beyond fucking me. It's right up there, right next to not letting me watch The Lost Boys. I don't understand. Were my parents afraid of me becoming gay from watching Lost Boys? I mean, I probably would have. Let's be real, but
Maybe because watching media doesn't turn you gay. You just are gay or you're not.
Being gay makes you gay.
Yeah.
It's not like in Twilight where they bite your neck for 5 minutes and you're like, oh wow, now I suddenly have an erection looking at men.
Look, if consuming queer media turned you gay, then I would be gay. Because I have so many queer friends and I've seen a lot of queer movies and nope, I still think women are chef's kiss. So, yeah, doesn't work. But, yeah. I think this movie actually could have benefited from a little more gayness. But obviously that's not going to happen considering the religious beliefs of the person who wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one downside.
Yeah. The one downside?
The one downside, not gay enough. Everything else. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to throw in some gay shit in there too, right? How many times were those werewolves just naked after transforming back into being humanoid, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you like to see shirtless hunks. This movie has lots of shirtless hunks.
Nothing will make me laugh harder though, seeing Jacob shirt off and being like ripped and like, beefy ripped, and then seeing Edward shirt off and you're just skinny. You just have no fat on your body, bud. What are you doing?
His painted on abs.
His painted on abs.
Here's the abber.
That the commentary about his body gave Robert Pattinson fucking body issues for a long time. I still think he has issues with them too.
I mean, there's definitely something to be said about, obviously we're all well aware of the body issues that women as portrayed in movies and television show give to young girls and stuff. But, it feels like in the last 15 years or so, the depiction of men's bodies has gotten far more unrealistic than it ever used to be in the past. You see John McClane in other 80s action movies and stuff without their shirts on, and it's they're pretty fit, but due to the superhero movies and stuff like this, the absolute chiseled perfection of male torsos is something that is impossible to achieve without drugs and a workout routine that is not healthy.
Yeah.
And I think it does cause, I think there are issues where young boys start to see stuff like that and they start to get body dysmorphia issues because their bodies don't look like that. And I think it's one of those things where it's oh, well, we're starting to do the same with boys now too. And so now boys get to feel the same thing women feel. It's okay, if we're going to go for equality, maybe that's not the right direction to do it in.
Maybe
we should depict more realistic body standards for all people and let It's one of my biggest criticisms with the show Love is Blind. It's Love is Blind. Here's a show that, it shows it's not about looks, and then every single person cast for it is conventionally attractive. It's feels like you're kind of defeating the point. We should have...
Love is Blind, but everyone looks the same and are all conventionally attractive people.
Yeah, well, this one's a blonde and this one's a brunette, and maybe it'll let this hunk, choose between a blonde and a brunette when he normally wouldn't have, Yeah. Hate it. But, yeah, this movie, it certainly, I maybe need to see more movies with Kristen Stewart in it because I haven't seen too much of her, but every time she is just completely devoid of any charisma. And also for two people that are supposedly madly, deeply in love, I did not get much chemistry whatsoever between her and there was more chemistry between her and Jacob than there was between her and Edward.
Yes.
I see that.
Edward felt just hey, right. You're never going to see me again. And then he uses his astral projection powers to be constantly interfering with her. And it's just well, you liar. Which I know that's part of the plot, but still.
I'm going to leave you alone now. Shows up every night in your dreams. Do you miss me?
Well, it's just so annoying. It's just I'm deeply in love. Okay, when you're 17 years old, and there's like when he leaves her, it's like, well, one, how long have they been together? And it's just like, this is a 17-year-old romance. It's like, you can't. It's like, get over it, Bella. Don't be into like a half-year-long depression because a guy you dated for a bit in your high school dumped you. It's, I don't know. And then, of course, they have the whole Romeo and Juliet thing, and, you know, you had the parallels to Romeo and Juliet at the end. This movie did make me wish I had been watching Nomeo and Juliet for a minute there at the end. Because, you know, I mean, they did have the whole thing of he thinks she's dead, so he's going to kill himself and then but, you know, then... Much like Romeo and Juliet, they don't die, because obviously we need to have multiple more movies. And
yeah.
And I don't know, the whole trying to tie in Romeo and Juliet didn't really work because it didn't have the... I mean, it kind of had feuding families, but she wasn't part of the werewolf family. She was just friends with... I don't even know. I don't even know what she was thinking. It's like... Don't bring in the Romeo and Juliet thing if you're not going to go full hog on it.
I think it was just put in, to be honest. Yeah. Like, I know it was in the book. I know they do that it is in the book and stuff. But like, I think outside of that, it's not really. I won't say not mentioned because like I don't think it needs to be mentioned, like the Romeo and Juliet thing. But it is there, but it's not there, if that makes sense. Like, it's sort of like the best way I can wrote is like they tried. If that makes sense.
They tried very hard.
So yeah.
Well, I also have to say that visually, I thought the movie looked pretty good, except for the wolves. Jesus Christ, the wolf CGI was really bad.
The wolf CGI was god fucking. Hey guys, let's get real wolves to do some of this, and then CGI the rest of it when they're doing cool shit.
Yeah.
Why are we underpaying people to do CGI wolves again? We ran out of budget for the wolves.
I mean, I understand that doing animation, fully animating an animal, that's some of the hardest CGI to do.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Humans being obviously the hardest thing to CGI. But animals, especially animals like wolves, which are based off of dogs, which humans are very familiar with, it's difficult to do. But it feels like even in 2009, they could have done something that looked better than that. But, I mean, if the movie came out now, they probably would look much, much better. But
oh, yeah, for sure. I think 2009 me was just like, whoa, these wolves look good. But, like, you know, like, obviously we look at it now and we're just like, ew. Like, they're not bad. They're not, like, the worst, like, CGI wolves. Like, they're really not. But they're not... They could have been, like, way better. But I think that... I think that was due to part, like, maybe the budget they had. And, like, obviously... I think with New Moon, they saw how popular it was, so they obviously got more budget for the other films. But... yeah, they could have done them a lot better, but I don't think they did.
Also,
they just didn't.
We had a good laugh when they cut to. They just showed it on a couple slides ago. Edward is in Rio de Janeiro, and his window happens to have a perfect framing of Christ the Redeemer in the background. Yeah. Really? Yeah, it just feels like these Twilight movies, you could take the same plot and the same characters, and with just slightly better writing, there could be something really good in there, but that they just... It feels like it's so close to hitting the mark, but it just hits it badly, you know, and just...
Yeah, I know Stephanie Meyer was very, very, like, in there with the writing, and she was very persistent with how she wanted things to be, especially in like, the clothing that the characters wore, all that sort of stuff. Like she had so many, like, best way to describe it, like basically a Pinterest board of like each character and what clothes they would wear.
Well,
she was like in there.
The costuming I thought was fine. I thought the costuming was good.
The costume was fine. But she was very in there, like with how the actors would act and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know like how much was like disregarded with what she said, but I know she was definitely in there and she was very adamant on how things had to be. So I don't know whether the writing and like the dialogue and stuff was all of her. Obviously you've got the screenwriters and stuff, but like I don't know how much of her advice they actually took on.
Well, and I'm wondering
I don't know.
I'm wondering if she wanted to have the dialogue fit closer to what she had written in the book, and she wanted to have it line for line, lines from the book. But the problem is like written dialogue that you read versus spoken dialogue that you see. The same line can feel fine when you're reading it, but not when you're watching it.
100%. I mean, a badly written line, it can be good when you don't have to hear it. But the moment you hear it out loud, it ruins the vibe entirely.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest issue that this movie had. I think, like...
It's like writing a manifesto and then reading it to your friend for error or edits, and your friend going, dude, that's cringe, and you're going, oh shit, that is cringe. Never mind.
Yeah, just... the worst part of this movie is the dialogue, straight up. But, yeah, it's what it is.
I think as well, though, because like most of it's like awkward and stuff, I feel like because I don't know how old I was. I think I was 14 when this film came out, so I can I feel like that was how most teenagers around that time would have felt anyway. So to me at the time, it wasn't awkward, but now that I look back on it, it's very, very awkward and stuff. So I don't know whether it was just it's one of those things where it's like a product of its time in a way, if that makes sense.
No,
like that's where the awkwardness comes from, maybe.
Look, when I was 14 years old, I liked Dragon Ball Z, and we can't say that Dragon Ball Z is great because of its dialogue. Just saying.
True.
I mean, there's a lot of anime I liked back as a high schooler that I look back on now, I'm like, oof.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
And beat you up, Yugi. I mean, the thing is that like this movie, I've seen it compared directly to another series of extremely popular high box office grossing movies that are also incredibly stupid and bad and dumb, but don't get nearly as much hate. And it probably deserves just as much, if not more hate. And that would be the Michael Bay Transformers movies.
Okay, now you're getting... Oh, okay. Tread carefully.
I love those films. I love them.
Tread very carefully about what you say next.
But the thing is, I think...
This is a warning.
I think they're bad in the same way that Twilight is bad.
I think that people need to understand that the Michael Bay Twilight... I almost said Michael Bay Twilight.
I want to see the Michael Bay Twilight movies.
You know what? We're swapping directors. I want to see Transformers done by, what's-his-face, who did Twilight, and then I want to see Transformers done by Michael Bay. Fucking cheesy. You know what I mean? Michael Bay Transformers movies are literally just popcorn action movies. That's all there should be. That's literally all the TV show was originally, right? Was just a way to sell toys, and that's all the movies were, a way to sell toys. And they do that spectacularly.
Meanwhile, Twilight is a way to sell sex toys. Okay, maybe that's 50 Shades of Grey.
I still remember... Oh, God. Oh, man. That was still... So, what movie was it that... Because they released on a movie in like 2012, 2013, right? Let me look this up. When was the last Twilight movie released? 2012. I remember going into a movie after one of the showings. It was like, you know, I was going to go see, I think, can't remember the movie. We were going to the movie theater, and the people who were supposed to be cleaning up did not clean up the place that we sat, and there was a used cucumber underneath one of the seats.
Oh, God.
No. No.
Yeah.
No. I hate that. I hate that with all my being.
Yeah.
Now it gets worse because when I was working in a movie theater and the 50 Shades of Grey's last movie came out,
No.
right? It happened again, but this time at least the cucumber had a condom on it. The worst part was that half of it was eaten.
I mean, if anybody ever suggests we watch the 50 Shades movies, I might just have to veto it. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not watching them. If you think Twilight's bad,
I mean, we can't talk about Twilight without talking about 50 Shades. It's 50 Shades.
We can actually. We can just forget that
50 Shades is a fanfic. So
yeah, but like, I don't know how they made like blockbuster movies out of those because the books are just straight up pornography. It's like we're going to adapt pornography into a regular movie. It is 50 Shades of Grey is to BDSM what giant titty bad proportioned hentai art is to porn. Actually, I just like you can't. I just kind of realized I contradicted myself because you say I say you can't turn pornography into like an actual story, but then I realized that's what Fate Stay Night and Utawa Re Rumono were. So there's a lot of.
I think I might gonna kill you. I think I'm gonna kill you. Actually,
I'm not wrong.
I think I'm gonna kill you. I think I'm gonna kill you. Yeah.
There's a lot of hentai visual novels that got turned into full animes.
I wouldn't call Fate Stay Night originally a hentai novel, but. All right.
It's got H scenes and full nudity.
That doesn't make it a hentai novel.
That's precisely what makes it.
That's like saying any kind of sex in any kind of media makes it a porn game or movie because you can very much take out all those H scenes. You can also remove them entirely from the game and miss them entirely in the game and still get the same endings. Does not make it an H game. As someone who plays a lot of H games, I'm telling you, it's not an H game.
Agree to disagree.
No!
Should we go into my predictions?
Let's go. Let's go. Do it. Let's pull up your predictions.
All right. Well, Belle and Edward break up at the beginning of the movie because he wants to keep her safe. Yeah, that's
yeah. I'll give you that one. Yeah,
on the fucking nose. Jacob swoops in, offers to protect her and take her in and show her the ways of his people. I mean, mostly right.
I'd say mostly right, yeah.
That's like 70% right, so it's passing. It's passing.
Yeah, we're gonna give that a green instead of a yellow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Evil vampire attacks the werewolf clan. I think this is kind of half right. The evil vampire Victoria does show up.
Half right.
Like, they fight the werewolf clan, but the werewolf clan is actually protecting Bella from them.
Yeah.
But Edward has to intervene in order to save Bella. No, that doesn't happen.
No.
Nope.
The
werewolf lame duck the entire movie.
Yeah. I mean, he does. Okay, so here's the thing: is like when I wrote that, I said he has to intervene in order to save Bella. He does that, but not to save her from the evil vampires, to save her from every single reckless thing she does. He's doing that little intervention thing, but that's not what I was predicting. So it's like, it's kind of right if you look at it in a certain way and ignore the context to which I made the prediction, but like, he kind of does.
But like, that's not him either. That's her.
Is okay.
Subconscious.
Okay, so that's actually a question that I had. Is all those visions she had of Edward, is that Edward astral projecting, or is that all in her head?
No, that's her wanting him to be there. So that's just her subconscious. He's not doing anything because he can't do anything like that.
Oh,
like, supernaturally.
I thought he was astral projecting, and that was one of his vampire powers.
No, he can only read thoughts. So, as far as I'm aware, there is no astral projection in the world of Twilight.
Is that the impression you got, Dre?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I got the same impression you did, that he was just fucking with her with psionics.
Okay, so
no, it's her subconscious, so.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Edward and Jacob fight and Jacob wins. No, they never actually fought each other. They were getting ready to at the end. But Bella prevents the fight from ever even happening, so So that one I got to give myself a red on. But then I think this last one I can at least give like a yellow to myself on because she does choose Edward in the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you say that's yellow or green?
I'd say that's green. I'd say that's green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a 3.5 out of 6, as we've determined in the past, that is a passing score. You know,
That is.
if I can get half or more right, I feel like I've done pretty good. I just kind of, at the end there, I definitely didn't predict them going to Italy and meeting the Council of the Vampires. Yeah.
To be fair, that isn't really like they're mentioned at the beginning of the film, but there's never really any like foreshadowing that they would go and meet them. They're just, oh, there's this group of vampires that basically rules over us. Like that's all that was said, really.
He did say at the beginning of the movie that, I don't know, might go to Italy and mess with the Voltari. This is number 2, RX-6.
I
This
might
is number 2.
cause a little bit of panic. You know, no big deal.
It's caused a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, Twig, with this passing grade of predictions, how did you like the movie, and are you glad to have watched it?
Well, this probably isn't going to come to a surprise to people, but I'm going to say no, I did not like this movie. And I would have been perfectly happy never having seen it. But the question is was it painful? This might be the biggest surprise, but I'm actually going to put it just in the did not like it tier. I would rather watch this movie than the movies in the Payne-ful thing. I'm not saying that, if I was a gun put to my head and I had to watch one over again, yeah, but I'm actually say this wasn't as bad. It was better than I was expecting it. Where did I put the first movie? I actually thought the first movie was painful. The first movie was New Moon is better than the first one. This is better than the first one because this one at least you had like all the stuff with Jacob pushed this movie higher than the first one. The first one was just a terrible, terrible, terrible love story. Was it as bad as Attack of the Clones love story? No, but it's pretty bad. So yeah, everyone's probably like, oh, they're doing a Twilight movie. It's gonna go into Twigs' painful category. No, just gonna go firmly in the did not like it movie category. There's a Twilight animated series coming to Netflix. Why?
Yeah. To be honest, though, the author has only written like 2 other books. Like, there's a side story, there's a side story about one of the like super, super non-important characters in a future book, and then obviously there's there's more. There's Edward's point of view as well, and then there's a gender bent one too. Like, that's all she's written, though. That's the thing. So they're all the same.
Honestly, if a female vampire with a human dude sounds more interesting to me than the reverse. Yeah.
That's the one I haven't read, so I don't know whether they're, like, literally the same, but gender bent, or they are, like, or if they're different. I don't know. I haven't
Give me lesbian vampires. I want lesbian vampires. That's what I want to see.
It is, yeah, an official fanfic. Yeah.
But only lesbian vampires if it was actually written by a lesbian and has accurate portrayals of lesbian relationships and isn't just male gaze lesbian kissing.
True.
Everyone's gender bent except for Charlie. Okay.
Interesting choice.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he wasn't gender bent.
No, they won't let you join in. Yeah. Male on male vampires? Then just, okay, you want male on male vampires, then just watch Interview with a Vampire. Especially the new Netflix show. But yeah.
I enjoyed that. Mm-hmm.
I need to see it, but I've heard it's super gay, and I'm glad it's super gay.
It is. It's super gay.
Actually, you want really good lesbian shows that's a remake of something that there wasn't much lesbian in, but should have. A League of Their Own. Watch the League of Their Own TV series.
Yeah, absolutely agree there.
That one is
opportunity to make more gay.
Yeah, that one's a good and accurate representation of gay, rather than just male gaze gay. I like it, and I'm sad that it didn't get its second season because of the writer's strike. Which
True.
I'm not saying anything against the writer's strike. The writer's strike was good and necessary and needed, and I feel like they almost need to again because they're still getting screwed over. But the writer's strike did kill season 2 of League of Their Own, which is too bad because there's still more story to tell. But oh well. There is more Twilight to tell. But Kat, if you ever want to come back, please choose something else. But you choose what you want to see. But
I'll pick the third one. Just for you. There's 3 more films after this one. Don't you want to watch them?
Okay, if we ever do the 4th movie, we're covering part 1 and 2 of the final one, and in the same episode. We're not.
No, that makes sense.
Because, God, I hate what they did. They did it with so many movies, like Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Twilight, The Hobbit, where they split a single book into multiple movies. Now they've recently done it with Wicked. It's just like, no, just make one movie. Just one movie, please.
Yep.
God, I wish The Hobbit had been just one movie. Give us a 3.5 hour long movie that just covers the book. And it's so well. But money. Yeah, but money. Fine. It's like, they split Wicked. They took a 2.5 hour long musical on stage that told a complete story and stretch it into 2 2-hour movies. And why? Don't do that. I might have actually seen Wicked. Like, them splitting it into 2 movies probably actually has caused me to not see the movie, when if they had just had it one movie, I might have gone to see it.
I didn't know that they did that. Yeah. No, so I'm glad I didn't see it, because that would have pissed me off.
Yeah, like, they split it where it sort of has a break at the theater. Like, at least they did that, but still, I don't know why. Because, like, the theater did a pretty good job of putting it under 3 hours, you know? So why couldn't they have done that with the film? It's probably, like, I haven't seen the film yet, but it's probably got a load of, like, I don't know, like, speech sections, I guess.
Filler.
Whereas
and fluff.
The theater doesn't. Yeah, filler stuff and everything.
Well, maybe I will watch Wicked when, after the second movie has been out on VOD, somebody will make a fan edit that cuts it down into 2 hour 45 minute.
Probably.
So anyway, I don't think we have too much more to say about Twilight, the Twilight Saga, subtitle New Moon.
Nope.
So we're going to call this episode done. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we get on out of here?
I don't know. I never promote myself, so I don't know.
just your Twitch channel.
I never do.
People click the.
Yeah, I've got my Twitch channel.
Yep.
I play games and do art, that sort of stuff.
Description has her channel link in it, so click that. If you're watching this on YouTube, look in the description below, and you will have a link to her channel as well as Dre Friggs. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click like and subscribe. That it helps. It helps. We want this to take off and potentially get up to double digits of views. But anyway, thanks for coming on, Kat. You were wonderful, and I enjoyed talking this. Me. Yeah, maybe I didn't enjoy watching the movie so much, but I enjoyed talking about it. And
it's one of those films. You either like I love it, but I can definitely see its flaws. So I can totally see why people don't like it, for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to go raid another bird. So, everybody, you have yourself a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you next time for our 1-year anniversary season 1 finale spectacular.
Yay!
Crazy to think it's been a year. Damn. Good talk.
Now I'm going to go eat some egg salad.
Now I'm going to go check my turkey raw. Pretty sure it's coming along this way.
That actually sounds really good, that does.
I have a leftover, like a whole leftover turkey, because like I didn't cook it all the way through, so there's a lot of meat left on the bone that I have to separate.